From Tobacco Republic in Loomis, California, the Loomis Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. Okay, take three. Hey, Scott Robinson with you here on Beyond the Humidor. We've had some technical difficulties this morning, so this is the third time we're going to give this a shot. So I'm sorry you guys have heard this joke before, but I'm sitting here accompanied by the opening act for Ron White and Dollar Tree Lex Luthor over there.
Thank you. That's still funny.
Yeah, I still appreciate the fact that you laughed
if I would have been not lazy, I could have, actually bicked my head and then it would have been even better. But anyway.
Way to make a joke unfunny. That's the second time today.
Fun show coming up here.
Yeah, it is.
You heard it here first.
Oh, and I got to mention, our camera monkey has been promoted to camera gorilla. We got Larry's son, Anthony, over. How you doing?
It's not as exciting the third time to introduce yourself. Like, yeah, I'm here again.
At this point, it's just kind of like, fuck it.
Yeah, let's go.
There's our E rating.
Well,
there goes the PG-13 out the window.
We already know what we're going to get an E rating after the first two takes.
This is true. Third attempt, we deserve an E rating at this point.
Yeah. So, Larry, what are you? I know what you're drinking. You're drinking what I'm drinking, but what the hell are you smoking?
I've got the Island Gym No. 2 by Oscar. Went to one of my tried and true go-tos. Nicaraguan wrapper, Honduran binder and filler, torpedo at 6.5 by 52. Just awesome smokes. I love Oscar's products. So I wanted something that I knew would be a good cigar for easy going for today. So that's what I grabbed. All right.
Good stuff. Greg, what are you smoking?
So I'm smoking a Boulevard. It's something that you got from your foray on Cigar Bid, your first foray on Cigar Bid. It's pretty good so far. And yeah, I don't know much more about that. If you guys want to know more about this cigar, check out the previous episode because that's what Scott was smoking.
Ooh, very nice. And Anthony, what are you smoking?
I'm doing the Esteban Carrera 12-year Connecticut. Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Ecuadorian Sumatra filler, Ecuadorian Sumatra binder, Dominican filler. This was one that came in that little 4-pack they have, little 4-pack sampler that's in there in the humidor that actually he got me for Christmas. Smoked all 4 of them like the weekend after Christmas and went, those are really good, and bought another 4-pack before New Year's. Because I enjoyed them that much. So,
and before you get started, real quick, because I know you two are drinking scotch, but Zach with Yard Dog Coffee, dude, your coffee has become my coffee of choice for not only the podcast but my weekends.
Oh, there you go.
Cool. Well, I am smoking the Padron Damaso. It is Nicaraguan with a Connecticut wrapper. And everybody knows how I feel about Nicaraguan. It's just fantastic. It's my go-to leaf. So anything with a Nicaraguan leaves in it is my go-to, and it doesn't disappoint. Real smooth, nice and silky. It's just a nice, pleasant, kicking back, relaxing kind of smoke.
He also pronounces it correctly most of the time.
Yeah, unlike Honduran and Criollo.
Fuck you. Fuck you. and fuck you again just for laughs.
And there we are, folks.
Just making sure we get that E rating properly.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, let me bring our guest aboard.
For the third time.
Hey, you guys pull your pants back up. It's time to come on the show.
Hey, all right. So, with that introduction, there's nothing more I can say. Hey, I want to introduce our good friends from How About That Cigar, Matt Ty and Garrett Robinson. Oh, God, what are they doing?
Okay. Sorry, guys. Are we on? Are we?
Not anymore.
Right, I was just walking.
How you guys doing?
I was just walking the ferret.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys
That's
drink
what the kids
scotch
are
in the
calling it
morning?
now.
I'm really glad I didn't see whatever the
Funny,
hell
I
that
thought
was.
ferrets were bigger than that.
Well, you told us to pull our pants back up.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Hold on,
Good
we got to give
morning.
Greg a minute. Breathe, man, breathe.
Hey, real quick, are you guys going to put this out on your stuff too?
Oh, we're gonna share it out.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, because I'd be interested in hearing some of the feedback from your listeners. Like, who in the hell are these jackasses that these sons of bitches went on their show?
Well, we could even, if we get the download and everything, we could put it on our YouTube channel as well.
I'll make sure that happens.
Oh God, you sure you want to do that, huh?
No, I'm not.
You might want to reserve those remarks until the end of the program, sir.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
The reason why I love these guys is because they're about as fucked up as we are. I was a guest on their show a couple of years ago. It was on a serious topic. And then, we started, talking ever so often and became friends. And they're out in Minneapolis and we're here in California. And they're as jacked up as we are. So we're like, hey, this friendship could work. I like this.
Hell yeah.
So
Freaks unite.
Absolutely.
amen.
Where'd y'all meet? Facebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron White, everybody.
Okay,
I was
know this is
thrown out of
three,
a bar in New York City. No.
We got to talk about Waffle House. That's got
Yes, I was just about to bring up Waffle House.
Okay, good.
Talk to me. Go ahead. Talk to me.
So Matt, before the show, Matt was playing me this TikTok, and it is alternative names for the Waffle House. And I think we all fell apart for the most clever of names, which Scott, do the honors.
Hash Brown versus Board of Education.
Oh my gosh.
I was mid-scotch.
Yeah.
I almost
Oh.
put scotch all over my laptop.
Yeah, when I saw that on TikTok a few days ago, I thought it was one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time.
Oh my gosh, so good.
And
That's
to
brutal.
give credit where credit is due, it's some guys on a podcast called the What's It podcast. They were just sitting around talking about alternative names for Waffle House, and it's hilarious.
Kenny
Dude, we
Chesney,
got to
the
talk about the
food.
other ones because
Right,
Brown
honorable
versus
mentions.
Yes.
Honorable mentions. Confederate breakfast and Kenny Chesney the food.
I like Yellow Brick Load.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh God, this is all horrible.
Oh man, the hits just and the hits just kept on coming, man.
Yeah.
What were
Yeah.
the other ones, man?
Oh, I don't.
Well, you know there's someone driving right now. We're offending people all across the Midwest. There's someone
Absolutely.
driving right now going from going home from a Waffle House going, some
Yeah.
bitches ain't funny at all.
Somewhere in
Midwest
rural
to the
Alabama.
south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That was West Virginia.
Went to pick their mom/sister up from their shift at the Waffle House.
Auntie Mama. Yeah.
What?
Auntie Mama.
Auntie Mama. Oh,
What'd you
Wow.
think he said? Aunt Jemima?
oh God.
See? These guys are as messed up as we are.
We're off the
What the
rails,
hell?
and we love it.
Yes.
On the
Yeah.
Express.
No.
This is
As
gonna
I
be a
told Larry
beautiful train wreck.
yesterday, I'm going to hell in gasoline-soaked pajamas.
Love it.
Oh God.
Oh man. So let's get into it a little bit. You guys started probably about 6 months before we did, and I just want to know your origin story, if you will. How about that cigar come about?
Well, I'll just say, Matt and I met about 8 years ago on this message board for cigars. And around that time, I was doing some consulting and some videos for this cigar shop in the Twin Cities area. A little bit later, Matt started doing some reviews for another media company, and I'll let him finish up where kind of that took place. But I knew that I love doing reviews. I knew that I love cigars. I love the culture. And Matt, take it away.
Well, after writing reviews and articles and covering trade shows for a different cigar media company for a couple of years, I kind of had thoughts about doing a podcast and a show and combining that with a website and all that. And also was, getting to the point at that time where I was, approaching 50 years old, and like, if I'm ever going to start my own thing, it's kind of now or never. So I said, okay, now it is. And I went to Garrett and said, hey, do you want to do this? And he said, yeah, let's do it. So got everything set up in the fall of 2018, and had some failures to launch a couple times, and learned some lessons. And the website went live on February 1st, 2019, and we did the first podcast, which was just audio recorded in a garden shed next to my old house. And that was maybe April or May of 2019. And then we started doing the video thing a few months after that.
And I remember, so, that garden shed station, it didn't have any sheetrock or anything up. And that was one of the most, like, every week, we had a following that would troll us. And that was like the number one comment. When are you gonna sheetrock that? You guys should sheetrock that. But do you remember, Matt? I don't remember what it was, but at one point, Carlito Fuente commented on one of our videos from like years ago, and we were like, Carlito Fuente, and then we're like, shit, it looks like such a shithole.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah, that was one of those moments where our mind was kind of blown. And, we were fortunate because I had some relationships already built from my previous media experience, and I was able to reach out to people and get guests for the show. And it just sort of steadily grew. We've really just tried to get good guests on the show to tell their stories. And that's really what it's about for us, is to have the people in the industry tell us about more than just their cigars, but tell us about their families and their interests and that kind of thing. And it's steadily grown, and we're super grateful for every bit of it.
Yep.
It's really cool, hearing from another cigar podcast, because I think back, just today, just the foibles you go through trying to run a podcast and a show. Our very first show, and some of our loyal listeners know this, we've talked about this. Our very first show, we had everything set up, and we were running it at the time with how many people? I think it was like six people, and we had one person remote. And it was a great show. Unfortunately, our producer, also known as Gilligan, didn't hit the record button, or no,
it didn't. It did not record. I hit the record button. For some reason, the Rode was not dumping it to the media. It was dumping it to a laptop, which didn't record that either.
Oh,
yeah.
We feel your pain. We've been there
so much.
We've been there.
We just looked at each other.
Be careful with the Gilligan comment, Russian standard.
Hey, that's okay. I can always sober up. You'll still be Gilligan.
Shots fired. So, hey, guys, I got to ask you, man. You didn't do that whole garden shed thing through the winter up there, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, with nothing but a little space heater that was, just like a little 12-inch space heater.
And no ventilation.
No ventilation either.
So
Nice.
Ventilation was opening the door. That was the
every
ventilation.
so often we would open the door, let in the 20 minus 20 degree weather for a few seconds, close the door, wait a few minutes for it to warm back up.
Well, and it wasn't that long, because my wife and I moved into this house. So we're in the garage of my new-ish house. My wife and I moved in here right after the place was built in July of 2019. So we only did a few months worth of episodes in the garden shed at the old house.
You can see
man.
We are under construction right now. So tomorrow we're actually getting together with the crew, our engineer, Justin, who has been an unbelievable addition to our crew, and we're very grateful for. 3 of us are going to get a little Tim the Toolman Taylor over here and throw some cool stuff on the wall. So for your viewers and listeners that want to check us out, How About That Cigar will have a new studio this next Monday.
A new look.
Oh,
That's
man,
fantastic.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
New us.
Any antlers, deer head, anything like that?
It's possible. We're going to make it modular.
Well, we're thinking about getting that that thing fragile from
Fragile. The leg
Fragile
lamp.
ramp.
Yes.
The leg lamp.
Knew
Or
exactly
pickle-
what you were talking about when you said that.
Or we might hang a picture of pickled chocolate starfish.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
I think that'll make it on the wall.
The classics. Well, since we're on the vein of movies, I want to just shift gears for a second here. I'm going to just give like a mini rant about this. And just a mini rant, not a huge one. But the Oscars are tomorrow. And I definitely, positively will not be watching them.
Wait, you normally do watch them?
You know what? The last one I saw was when Seth MacFarlane was host. And he was actually funny, but he'll never be invited back again. But my question of the week was, you were inviting Seth MacFarlane. Have you seen any of his work? What the hell did you
Thank
think
you.
he was going to do? Did you think he was going to break out into Shakespearean theater? I'm like, what the hell? I mean, it was actually an entertaining Oscars, actually. And I saw the one for Bond's 50th.
Scott's boycotting it because it's not on BET.
Wow. Did you just want to get on my shit list this morning? You were all right. You were doing just fine. Oh, you were doing fine.
Love you, man.
You establish trust and respect, and then you go into this ham-handed segue into an insult.
Go into this what? Ham-handed?
That will not do, Clarice.
Ham-handed. All right.
Silence of the Lambs, 1991, Best Picture.
I got to write that down. Oh,
Larry, did you
God.
forget your hood this morning? I feel like you forgot your hood.
Yikes.
The cleaners.
It's
Best
he left it at the
burn-ins
Waffle
this
House.
side of Placer County.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I won't be sharing this episode with my friends. Good to know.
That's our goal right there, is to make the camera gorilla nervous. Oh,
Well,
God.
no, back to what I was saying after I was so rudely interrupted. One of the reasons is the whole idea of the host. I mean, they've had this, I think this is the first time in how many years they actually had a host. They're going to have Kevin Hart on there, but he said something bad in 2013. You know, a comedian saying something bad. Oh my God, we can't have this now, can we?
Isn't Reba McEntire the host this year?
Oh God, no. It's three.
No,
It's three
it's
people.
worse.
Wanda Sykes, Regina. I can't remember her name, but the one worst of all, Amy Schumer. You want to talk about a comedian that's unfunny? That woman's just not funny. A couple of her movies, amusing, but she is just very, very unfunny. And from what I hear, a joke stealer to boot. But I just can't do it, which is sad because this year is the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest movies, one of the 100 movies you're supposed to watch before you die, Greg, The Godfather. And this is where Greg just kind of drifts off and shit because he has no clue what we're talking about.
Wait, what?
I haven't seen it.
Anglophile.
It didn't have English people in it, so he has no interest.
So
Right.
I didn't know Greg didn't see this movie, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm excited. The podcast is gonna be about a movie I like because I'm an old soul. And when I tell my friends, oh, you should watch The Godfather, they're like, what? And I'm like, I can't hang out with you anymore. So
Yes.
I'm gonna throw Greg under the bus. So I messaged Greg because I'm excited, like, oh, I got this cool thing I can bring for I don't know.
Show it to the camera. The
Oh,
camera can see it.
The camera won't see it from back here. So
Yes, it will, because I'm zoomed in on your smiling
Oh,
face.
Jesus Christ. You just make all the noise possible on this audio format podcast.
That's all right.
So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this clearly.
Oh,
It is the
Shut up.
I got this off like one of those art house things you see, like the movie memorabilia crap you see ads for on Facebook. And I'm like, I need that for my kitchen.
Hell yeah.
For those of you who can't quite see on the camera, it is the Jenko Pura olive oil logo from our family to yours, from made in Corleone, Sicily.
That is awesome.
So I send Greg a picture of this, and like, would you like me to bring this for a prop photo opportunity for the podcast tomorrow. And he just sends back question marks. And I'm like,
Oh no.
oh yeah, I can't see what it looks like on
So
camera.
this, tell him what my response was.
So I go, okay, maybe he just doesn't remember that detail from the film. So I say, do you know what the family's cover business is? And he's like, nope. So I message Scott and go, Scott, I need you to tell me if I'm too big of a nerd or if Greg's just dumb. Because like again, I assumed Greg had seen.
I vote for the latter.
So do all of us did. We're not gonna sugarcoat that. So I said, I'm going to send you this picture with no context. Do you understand why I'm bringing it Saturday? And I sent him this and he's like, oh, hell yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. I want to make sure that I'm not like way off the deep end or something. So
You are, but it's all right.
Okay, let me totally nerd out for a second here. Just say you know the answer to this. I'm going to give this to our guest. What was Vito Corleone's actual last name?
Andolini.
Nice. Okay, bonus question.
Wikipedia knowledge. I love it.
What was the name of his wife? Do you know it?
Oh man.
Constanzia is the daughter.
Mhm.
I
I
don't.
doubt her name's Mama, is it? No. that's
Well,
not
they
it.
called her Mama Corleone.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
Nope.
If I didn't know any better, I think the Sopranos made a nod to the Godfather. Her name was Carmela.
Huh.
Oh, that's got to be a nod.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
gotta
Yeah,
be-
I would think.
Yeah.
I'm
yes.
thinking so.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's got to be a nod to her.
That's
yeah.
To the-
deep.
to
I
the-
can't
to the
think of why they
Godfather,
would say
yeah.
that.
Because The Godfather takes place, 45 to 50 something, right?
1945
The
to 1954.
Yeah. That's an old name.
Mm-hmm.
And even in, American Italians, who's heard of a Carmela?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're pulling out the family history if you're naming your daughter Carmela at this time.
100%.
That's very cool.
Okay, let's nerd out again here. Okay, the olive oil company, Genco, who is it named after?
His friend and eventual.
I was leaving that for our guest, but good job
You looked
there.
at me when I started talking. So like, I guess I'm continuing.
No, you are not.
You turned your head to me. I'm like, oh, cool. Attention's on me. I'll shut up now. All right.
No, I wouldn't have
All right,
known the
yeah.
answer.
Me neither.
You're up,
It's
Anthony.
Okay, you're up.
It's the family that boards him. He makes friends with their son. It ends up being his consigliere, Janko Abandando,
Very good.
because Vito
Wow.
is humble of all things and doesn't want to name the company after him.
Yeah.
I just finished listening to this audiobook again like a week ago, and then they're like, you want to be on the podcast? I'm like, but of course.
But of course.
But of course.
Poupon. Great Poupon.
Corriente.
So I'll just say, one of the things I like about The Godfather, and this is why I continue to encourage Greg to watch it eventually, but I guess he's going to listen to the audiobook, which is just as well. I love the subtlety of Vito Corleone. He was very, very humble, very, very subtle. It's like he didn't come out and say, I'm going to kill you. Perfect instance was there was a deleted scene in The Godfather, and it's in the book, where the Frank Sinatra type, what the hell was
his godson?
Yeah, his godson,
Johnny Fontaine.
Johnny Fontaine,
Yeah.
who was kind of modeled after Frank Sinatra, and I
Kind
would
of.
suspect. Well, yeah,
Kind of.
yeah, I know. But when he went to Vito on Connie's wedding day and asked for a favor to be in a movie, I just took a wild guess for the movie that he was speaking of if it were real life. And I'm thinking it would have been From Here to Eternity.
Yeah.
When he said that, yeah, the part's made just for me. I don't even have to act. And Frank Sinatra really didn't act in From Here to Eternity. He did just fine because all he did was just sing and,
Yeah.
just be Frank. And, Vito sends Tom, his new consigliere, over to Hollywood to talk to the director and tell him, hey, put Johnny in this movie. And of course, we all know who've seen the movie. The guy talks a lot of shit, virtually throws Tom out of his house. And Tom just calmly says, thank you for a wonderful dinner. If you don't mind, could you get me to the airport? Mr. Corleone is a man who wants to hear bad news immediately. Now, before he left, he was talking to Vito, and Vito asked Tom, is he Sicilian? Is he a Sicilian? And people would think he was asking about his nationality, but what Vito was actually saying, would he die basically on principle for something that he wants or doesn't want?
Yeah.
And obviously he wasn't, because of course Jack Waltz wound up with a horse's head in his bed. Just very, very subtle.
Yeah,
super subtle.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, and again, you don't get this in the movie. Highly recommend you read the book if you haven't, audience.
I haven't.
Or at least listen to it. You get the follow-up of Jack Waltz realizing all the power I've accrued in my life, all my connections are meaningless to this man, and he will kill me over this. Oh shit. Like that. It's a really, the book is fantastic.
Yeah, but one of the things about The Godfather, and I think this was the start of the modern gangster movie, is it made the public empathize with mobsters. These weren't really nice people, if you really want to be honest. They weren't the Red Cross, but they had you rooting for them, if you will. Something else that was in a deleted scene from The Godfather about Jack Waltz, the director, he was a pedophile. Because when Tom was leaving, he saw this 12-year-old girl he saw at the studio, in a, kind of half dressed, and her mother shooing her back into the bedroom.
Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack Waltz
Wow.
liked them young. So it made you instantly despise him. It wasn't like, oh, this poor guy is getting shaken down. It's like, this piece of shit, he got what was coming to him. And you see a lot of that in a lot of the modern gangster movies.
That's true.
It's either mob on mob, but it's never just your average, hardworking person who's getting shaken down, unless they want to make the mob figure look like a really bad guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was the start of all the modern movies, Casino, Goodfellas, Sopranos.
There's a really good, at the end of, they just updated for the 50th anniversary, the version of the audiobook I have, and they have an aside or a comment by, and I'm going to forget the professor's name, but he's essentially an American cultures professor. And he talks about how, if you think when The Godfather came out, it was written in 69 and came out in 72 if it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
That was the end of the Western and the good guys are the good guys and just and law, and then you have the counterculture movement. So the rooting for the bad guys that are kind of going against the societal norms that's kind of why the beginning of that movie took off.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we can root for the underdogs, the bad guys, because they're fighting for what they think is right. So it's a really good little 5-minute thing that they put at the end of the audiobook.
Yeah, I like that. And another movie that does that kind of, Scarface.
Mm.
As brutal as it was, it had you rooting for Tony Montana. You loved it
100%.
in, at the I would guess say the middle of it, where Tony takes Frank's woman and he's standing looking at the Goodyear blimp, and then it instantly clicks off to him doing really, really well, and you're like rooting for him, like, yeah, this is great. You forget that he killed a marching band to get there, but hey.
Yeah. Yeah. The Godfather really was the first big production that celebrated the anti-hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
That where you root for somebody, but then you find yourself being reminded, oh wait, this guy's this guy's a ruthless gangster. And yet you still
this guy's really a
yourself,
piece of shit.
Yeah, but they put those sympathetic elements in, and they did the same thing in Goodfellas. They did the same thing in Sopranos, the same thing in Breaking Bad, and it's been multiple. And that Godfather really was the first production that celebrated the anti-hero. And
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Nice segue.
If you had told me I would have heard the words Godfather and Legally Blonde in the same sentence today, I would have called you an asshole. But I was not.
You should.
Wow.
You should.
You definitely should.
Oh, wow.
And
My kid.
not to be left out here, the closest thing at this point to a mob movie that I've seen is The Untouchables.
Oh, I
What a
just
bad
I
The
have-
cartoon version with Mickey Mouse and Porky Pig.
yeah, where Mickey Mouse is Elliot Ness.
Yes. And Scrooge is what the hell's his name anyway?
Capone.
This December on Disney Plus.
Thank you for saving that, Anthony, by the way. I was about to make another
That's what-
unfunny comment,
That's
but
what-
hey,
that's what Camera Gorilla's here for.
yes, you have truly earned your title as Camera Gorilla.
We're gonna get you a Ben Davis shirt that says that.
Camera Gorilla.
What?
This is why we keep this guy around. He's a goddamn genius. That needs to happen, man. That truly needs to happen.
Hey, wait a minute. Have you seen what a Ben Davis shirt costs? I mean, there's a budget to this fucking operation here. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
No. Let's think on this. Hold on. We're strategizing right now. All you do is just. I'm talking. Let's just listen.
That was our strategy music. Go ahead.
Nah, just go on the internet, take the Ben Davis logo, alter it a little bit, and then you put under it. You put where Ben Davis is. You put Camera Gorilla. And you can put a camera. You can even give the gorilla a camera or put a camera next
there we
to him.
go.
Dude, you
Let's
get irritated.
steal the Ben Davis logo and plagiarize it and jeopardize my business. That sounds like a bitching idea.
You get
Well,
pissed
not
off.
like
You
we're
get pissed
selling
off.
it.
You get pissed off about someone stealing our logo, and now you want to steal a famous logo.
I'm not trying to sell it. It's just like it'll go like one.
Well,
tin
but
will go in my bedroom, and then one, give him a shirt.
I think that speaking of stuff like this, I think we need to send the boys something for their remodeled studio.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
I think we should send them a smaller version of the Christmas signs that I've been doing the last few years.
I think you're right.
So-
You guys are in for a treat.
Oh
I'm
boy.
So
I'm
So scared.
I'm so scared.
You should be.
No.
You
Hey,
shouldn't
hey.
tell him. You shouldn't tell him. Just send it to him.
Really?
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna need off camera. We're gonna need a mailing address. I'm
Oh,
gonna
I'm
shoot
so
you guys some stuff.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
He might just put it on the White House lawn. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he opened up and go, Dad.
Jesus
So
Christ.
as the youngest person in the room, I have an interesting take on seeing the Godfather movie for the first time, which I don't know when I first saw it or it was on, because my mom will just put movies on while she's cleaning, cooking, whatever. And I'm no stranger to by that smile, I think you know exactly where this is going. I'm no stranger to like adult movies playing.
Whoa!
Lawrence, do we need to have a
hang
talk?
on. Let me.
Wrong.
Adult as in.
Too late. You fucked it off.
Whatever. Movies that weren't for a 10-year-old, but were for mature, grown-up people to understand.
You're still not helping. You're digging the hole deeper.
Ron Jeremy, we get it. Okay,
Anyway.
let's go.
But I distinctly remember the first time I'd actually sat down and tried to follow what was going on in The Godfather. And honestly, I probably would have not been paying attention enough at 12 years old or whatever to care. But there's a scene in The Godfather that, how do I word this? When Michael gets married in Sicily,
Yes.
and
I
the
know.
funny part of this story is I honestly, at 12 years old, I would have been looking at my phone or doing my homework, whatever I was doing while the movie was on in the background, because I didn't know this was coming. But my mother sprinting across the house to dive in front of the TV is what drew my attention initially.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah,
I can see Sherry.
And if she hadn't done anything, I wouldn't have noticed. There was no dialogue in the scene. It wouldn't have made me turn my head. But her sprinting, and I turn around and go, "Oh, that's a boob." All right. So that I'm like, huh. All right.
Okay, wait,
Cool.
stop. I'm stopping the train right
Stop,
now.
Ask questions.
I'm
please.
gonna ask a lot of questions.
Ask a lot of questions.
One, the fuck's wrong with you?
Hang on.
Two, no, hold on now.
You looking at me or him?
I'm looking at the both of you. What you do to him, and what the fuck is wrong with you? Understand and see. This is you know what this
His
is.
parents drink.
Now you know what this is. This is a difference of the generations. Us who grew up in Gen X, early Gen X, not you.
Thank you.
Remember when there was only 3 channels? If you're lucky, there were 5, and then you paid for everything else.
you were trying to watch Cinemax at 1:30 in the morning, and all you got was those colored bars
Yes.
and shit across it, and about every 40 seconds you could see like the outline of a nipple.
I got one better. On TV. Remember that? Yeah, one of the first subscriptions. Do you guys know what On TV is? Like 1978. There are people walking around, and this was literal satellite shit. It's like they would, hook you up, and it was called On TV. It came on for about 5 hours a night, if that. And they had some adult entertainment. And of course, it was, the porn was scrambled, but we're talking like, B- porn, like, Skinamax. But of course, you sat there and tried to watch it with the big colored bar. Yeah. And we were grateful. You have a clear boob in front of you. And what are you doing?
Looking at your phone.
I wasn't looking at my phone. Calm down.
Calm down.
Well, you weren't looking at the boob, apparently.
I was in the living room with my family. What was I supposed to go? Like, what do you want me to do in that situation?
That would have made two of us.
Get the fuck out of the way, Mom. Like, what do you want me to do?
Oh, that'd go over real well with Sherry.
I wouldn't be here now.
I brought you into this world, child. I
I'll
can
take
end you.
you out. Yep.
Make another one look just like you.
Yeah.
You clearly haven't met the other two.
Saddest day in my life is when I saw a picture of my dad at my age and went, "Yeah, I'm not adopted."
No, man, these kids don't realize today, man. The struggle is real. I mean, they can get anything they want in 11 seconds downloaded on our phone. When I was in junior high school, even into the beginning of high school, if you had that one friend, and he didn't even have to be a friend, he could be that fucking prick on the outskirts of your friend group. But if his dad had a subscription to Playboy, he was the greatest motherfucker in the world. You'd be like, "Come on in, Charlie, hang with us." That was it. That was the best you could hope for, in 1980.
Yeah. So your parents aren't home, huh? Let's go to your house.
And do you remember those old Playboy magazines and Hot Rod? They would come with samples of Skoal Chew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. Little plastic bags.
Holy
They come with samples of the Skull Bandits little pouches.
Wow. Why am I not surprised that you know that?
Fuck's that supposed to mean?
Well, just like I'm sure Jet Magazine wasn't showing up at your house every week.
You got a point.
I'm not exempt.
Yeah. Yeah, but Jet didn't have Skull, did it?
Now I had Beauty of the Week.
It had Soul Glow.
Soul Glow.
Soul Glow.
Oh God.
Chocolate.
And yeah, he says that because before I got onto cigars, I was a 3-bag every 2 days leaf tobacco chewer.
Oh,
Levi
Beach
Garrett. No,
Levi
Levi Garrett.
because I worked graveyard, and that was. I got up at 10:30 at night, ate something, grabbed my lunchbox, get in my truck. I lived 7 minutes from where I worked. I'd start my truck up. I put in a wad of tobacco, and I chewed tobacco all night into the morning because I would have the kids in the morning until she got off work. And about an hour before she'd get home, I'd take the tobacco out, brush my teeth, and we're good to go. One day, and I worked 2 jobs. One day, I just got home in the afternoon. I'm getting ready to lay down because I got to be back to work in about 5.5 hours. And she comes storming into the bedroom. You need to get up. You need to get up right now. Oh, shit. So I go out, and this one that's sitting over here was probably about 4 years old.
Oh shit.
And we had 4.5 maybe. And we had a big like garden window off the kitchen sink. And you could see out onto the patio in the backyard. And she goes, "You look out that one. Look out there." I'm looking, and he's running around doing his thing. I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You just watch." I'm like, "Okay." About then, I see him. He's got one of them little paper Dixie cups from his bathroom. And he had a wad of bubble gum in his mouth. And he spits into that Dixie cup. And I'm like, "Oh, shit." She looks at me and she goes, "That shit stops today." I'm all,
Wow.
I don't know if I can do that.
I learned it from watching you.
And then I started smoking cigars, and I didn't pick up that habit at all. Sorry, Mom.
But oh no, man, it was brutal.
Were you a
'cause that's-
spitter?
Huh? No,
Were you a spitter?
no, not really.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
swallowed.
but
yeah, he's a lady.
wow. Whoa! Hey, fuck both you guys. All right.
Shots fired.
That just upped what you're getting in the mail, by the way. But no, I mean, it's like anything else. I remember the first time I did leaf tobacco. I was in high school. It was because of wrestling. You chewed tobacco and spit for water weight. How fucking stupid was that, right?
Right.
And oh god, I got so freaking sick. Redman.
Yes.
Redman.
Oh god,
Redman was the only one I ever tried, and I was
really?
I was probably 13, and over at a buddy's house, and just throwing around football in the backyard, and he pulls this pouch of Redman out of his back pocket, and I take like this tiniest little amount, and I put it back there between my teeth and my cheek, and it was all of 5 minutes. And I ralphed all over the grass, and I've never touched that stuff since.
No, we were big.
And how stupid is that? I mean, we teach ourselves, this is going to get better. Like, what are you fucking ridiculous? We're the only species of animal on the planet that does that.
Yep.
This tastes like a bag of ass. Maybe I'll try more the next time and it'll be better. What the fuck?
You gotta learn to like it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it evolves. I mean, sick as a dog the first 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
And then by the time I'm in my, mid to late 20s, I'm chewing 3 bags every 2 days. And I spit like twice when I first put it in at the beginning of the night. And I'm adding tobacco. I don't even change it. You're chewing, getting the wad in my cheeks getting a little small. Better pack some more in there so it looks like a fucking doorknob, and so you throw some more in and it just motor right on through the night.
Well, and things were different in the 80s. Things were different, and I went to high school at this tiny little high school in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, and you got guys with tins of Kodiak in their back pocket all throughout the school day. We actually smoked. So I was a cigarette smoker back then, and we actually smoked in the car during driver's ed.
And we had a smoking section
in our school.
at my high school.
At the school?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I loved beech nut. And I was a beech nut chewer starting in junior high. And then I remember in high school, a friend of mine was like, hey, you should try Kodiak. And I was like, all right, I've been chewing for, a year or so, and put in a big wad of Kodiak. Oh, balls. That's got the fiberglass in it.
Yeah, that stuff's gnarly.
And it's like nicotine injection into you.
Yeah,
and
I never could get into any of that. Skull, Copenhagen,
no,
any of that. It was just too gritty. It was just, and the thing, it wasn't even the taste. I mean, I could put up with Skull or Copenhagen, as far as the taste. What I didn't like is how fine and how I felt like I felt like that llama drinking out of the trough the whole time, because the shit never stayed put. It wasn't like leaf tobacco. You throw it in there. It's, you got a brick in there. It's fine. Right. That shit was in a minute and a half. It was all over your mouth. It's on the roof of your mouth. It's on your tongue. It's like, get this shit out of here. Couldn't do it. And then the pouches, they can't. And that's why the pouches came out. I'm convinced is, they made the little Skull Bandit. Oh, it's like asshole light. And like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, this is for people that are not queer enough for Skull. I'm like, what the fuck? Really? This little band. Ooh, let's throw this a tea bag of fucking tobacco.
They basically were basically little tea bags.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
White people. Greg?
I got nothing for this.
You didn't chew any tobacco?
Hell no.
The only thing I've ever done was start smoking cigars. That was it.
Nerd. No.
And
Why is
I mean,
that?
same
Because
here.
is that because you watched a documentary on Winston Churchill?
In
Look at
case,
them, they're waiting for the answer.
in case you didn't know it,
don't
Greg is our
don't be,
resident Anglophile. So anything English, see, if the Godfather had English folks in it, he'd have been all over it. He'd have watched it about 12 times. It'd have been like him getting all aroused from watching Upstairs Downstairs when he was 12.
never watched that one.
Isn't that the first one you saw was Upstairs Downstairs?
Are you being served?
Oh, well, yeah. I know about that one, but I thought you saw Upstairs Downstairs.
No.
Okay. It must have been some other English
That
fuckery.
that Poirot, Inspector Morse.
Oh, yeah.
Downton
Basil
Abbey.
Fawlty.
What's that?
Basil Fawlty.
Yeah. Faulty Towers.
Faulty Towers, Monty
Um,
Python.
You know, that's where even though they say I'm an Anglophile, I never really found Monty Python all that funny.
That's too lowbrow for him.
Wow.
The only, my brother got me into watching crap. What is that one he's in with the Black Knight?
The Holy Grail.
Oh, thank you. He had me watch the Holy Grail. He goes, "You're gonna love this, Greg." I'm like, okay. Black Knight sequence, laughed my ass off. Rest of the movie, no. But yeah,
You did not like Monty Python.
I did not.
I
Now,
told you, too
Bruce-
lowbrow for
Bru-
it.
No.
Bruce,
Boy,
Bruce Campbell,
Boy.
hilarious.
No, Piss Boy was History of the World.
That was
Was.
History of the World. That's Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Those
My
were
bad.
funny too.
My bad. I love my people. Paul. Blast someone out of the fucking sky. Amazing.
Great to be king.
Hey, if we went back to shit like that, we'd have less problems.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
like
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing
I
Saddles.
saw
gosh.
I saw that movie for the first time, gents, about 3 years ago, and I'm like, holy
Oh.
shit, this is both hilarious and scary at the same time. You cannot produce a movie like this now.
Hey, did I share that meme, the Blazing Saddles meme, to all of you guys, or just Scott and Greg?
Not me.
Okay, yeah, you know instantly if should I describe it or should I just?
Please do.
Just send it.
Yes, the meme is the black guy from Blazing Saddles holding the gun on himself, and it's Jesse Smollett describing the attack.
Oh,
Look at that.
oh, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, there's nobody can be offended by me making that statement now. The man was convicted of
That
faking a freaking
fantastic.
racial attack, for Christ's sake.
Oh my gosh.
I'll find it. I only got about 17,000 memes saved.
Right.
I had to actually go out and go and delete some pictures off my phone
Yep.
because I couldn't save anything on my phone anymore.
That's why I do my meme dump. I dump them on Facebook and then I can delete them from my phone.
Jesus.
Isn't
Yeah, I gotta
anybody
do
going to help that poor man?
I helped him
swear
right into
he'll
a
do
prison
it.
cell.
Do
Hey,
what he
and you notice-
say.
Hey,
Do what he
this is how
say.
this is how hypocritical we are as a society. Nobody who jumped up waving, oh God, this is the racist, and he was attacked. You don't see none of those fucking people going, God, that was wrong what he did. They're just keeping their mouth shut and their head down.
No, the problem is some of them aren't keeping their mouths shut. There's a few of them sat there and said, it reminds me of Emmett Till. I looked and said, I almost spit my scotch out and said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The whole attack didn't make sense. It's like, so two racist white guys looked at you at 3 o'clock when you were getting a sandwich in Chicago at 19 degrees and said, and I quote, "You're that faggot from that show Empire." Now I have questions. If you're a racist and you don't like homosexuals, why are you watching Empire?
Yeah. I love
And then-
the bit that Dave Chappelle did
Oh,
about
yeah.
the
Dave
whole thing.
Chappelle's
is
bit is the funniest thing.
he spelled it out perfectly.
Yep.
I mean, every word he said about that in that routine was spot on.
Well, and that's
I
one of the
laughed hard.
things. Dave Chappelle is one of the few people we have in that medium nowadays that can do something, that can say something like that,
Yeah.
because he's reached a level that, how do you blackball Dave Chappelle?
They
They
tried.
try.
They
They
did,
tried,
but
but he doesn't care anymore. He's
Right.
like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and
that's
Well,
like-
you're talking about a man who walked away from, what was it, $50 million?
yeah,
He literally walked away from $50 million.
Yeah.
They said, hey, we want to pay you for the second season of Chappelle Show. Here's $50 million. And he's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's who did they have on? Kid Rock was on somebody's podcast here in the last few days.
Yeah.
And basically said that he's uncancelable. And the guy kind of went, well, what are you talking about? He's like, I can do whatever I want to do for the rest of my life financially. He goes, I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm not sponsored by a big corporation. I'm not, I don't have to censor what I say.
right. He's
for
got
the-
his own
for the pe-
studio.
yeah,
his
for the
own-
people that are writing me a check,
his own
because I
label.
write me a check, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and and Joe Rogan is probably that way to a certain
Yeah.
extent. They've
Yes.
tried to censor, blackball, cut Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan gives zero fucks. Hey, well, whatever his opinion is going to be his opinion. You don't like it, don't listen.
Well, the really sad part is you've got a lot of comedians now who will not do college campuses anymore.
Oh yeah, fuck.
I mean, even Jerry Seinfeld said, fuck it. He's like, no, because everybody is just all squishy. And he's
Yeah.
like, you say, the wrong thing about the wrong person. And it's like, oh my God, that's offensive. It's like, I'm going to a comedy show to freaking laugh,
Right.
Yeah. And, for me, I love cringe humor. The more offensive, the better. And I don't
Yeah.
care who it's about.
I think it's time to bring Andrew Dice Clay back for another round.
We need something more than Andrew Dice Clay. That's a good start, but I'm trying to think of,
Like
bring out a
Anthony
Ouija
Jeselnik.
board and bring back Lenny Bruce
Oh,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Richard Pryor.
There was a great documentary on, was it Netflix that I watched it on just last week about humor and about Lenny Bruce and how things get about how he got canceled basically back in the day, and yeah, even he even got put in jail
Yeah, several
For-
times.
for offensive language.
yeah, lewd.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, public. I forget what they called it, and this was in New York. He, went
Public
to jail.
obscenity.
Yeah.
and I mean, true, obvious violations of First Amendment rights. And fortunately today you're not going to see a comedian put in jail, but you will see a comedian, unfortunately, maybe lose their livelihood because if they can't get a show on Netflix because
They're culturally
they're
canceled.
culturally
Right, yeah.
canceled.
Yeah, even when you're doing shows in small venues, one of the guys I felt sorry for was Michael Richards. And this was like years ago, probably 10 years or
10,
so.
12 years ago.
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago, where he basically, people said that he went on this racist rant and just went off. But people got mad at me when I said this. I said, I kind of empathize with him, not for what he said, but I understand where it's coming from. He was obviously bombing on stage. The heckler was getting the better of him. So he just dug into his bag of tricks for anything and he would just basically, I just saw, people saw a racist. I saw a guy who was just dying on stage.
Yeah.
He was just losing it. It's like you've lost the audience. No one's laughing with you anymore. They're laughing at you or just, you aren't shit. And he just lost it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because somebody had a camera.
Yeah.
And that was, early in the social media days where it started spreading all over the internet. And next thing you know, he can't get a job as an extra on a B movie.
Yeah, but you know who brought him back? On Curb Your Enthusiasm, they
Yep.
had an episode where Michael Richards was on there, and he kind of made a joke about what happened to him, and he's yelling at JB Smoove, another one of my favorite comedians, and he's telling him, says, if there was a word I could say to you that would totally insult you, and he says it without saying it. He's just like melting down, and
Yeah.
the delivery of it was just entirely funny.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, you're going to have a generation of comedians who are afraid to tell a joke or try a joke. Inoffensive humor, I mean, it has its place. I know, and this may not be a fitting one. Bill Cosby, for instance, back in the day when he was doing shows, his big thing always was, hey, I want it to be a show that you could bring your kids to. And there's a genre for that, and that's perfectly fine. But, after 10 o'clock after dark, I was on a cruise once, and the comedian does, 2 shows, one, the G-rated one around 7 o'clock. And then we went to the 11 o'clock one. And he even said at the 7 o'clock at the end of it, he says, I'm going to do a second show. Don't bring your fucking kids.
Yeah.
Trust me, you don't want to.
Yeah.
And then at the 11 o'clock show, he's like, did you bring your fucking kids? Okay, good. Now we're going to really talk shit. But it's just sad now that, you can't be funny.
Yeah.
You can't be funny. You can't make fun of what is a daily operation of our society anymore. That's where humor came from a lot of these guys, because they would talk situational comedy based on where they were, where they came from, how they grew up, geographically, point in time, whatever it was. And it was funny because it was life. Life sucks. The sooner we figure it out, figure out that it sucks, you gain some equipment to maybe avoid a few of the potholes, and pointing it out and making fun of stuff that is occurring, has occurred, will occur, is important. You learn from it, you laugh from it, you move on. Fucking calm down.
It's a pressure release valve, because if you take everything seriously all the time, you're going to eat your fucking gun.
Yeah. That's a great point. And one of the reasons that Blazing Saddles was so funny, and one of the reasons that the edgiest comedy is so funny, is because it points out the absurdity of the extremes.
Yes.
Whether it's the extreme this side or the extreme, it points out the absurdity of the extremes, and it sheds a light on it. And that's A, one of the reasons it's so funny, and B, one of the reasons that it's necessary for comedy to be unfiltered.
Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%.
And it's sad that we couldn't have a modern day Mel Brooks, where it's coming from a place of comedy and satire, and it's not coming from a place of actual racial, religious, cultural bias. It is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we couldn't have that today, and it's sad as shit.
I was going to say, I go even further. You can't even do Shakespeare.
No, you can't.
No,
I mean, which was, I would venture to say the beginning of actual satire.
It is.
The Canterbury Tales. I mean, you start talking that now, and all of a sudden, we'd be canceling. Well, not we, they would be canceling Shakespeare.
Well, if you think about what Shakespeare did, you've got regicide, patricide, matricide. He takes everything that can be negative and that is negative, particularly with society back in the 14 and 1500s, and he makes light of it. And the only thing that saves him today is the language is too far above people to really understand what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, because we don't teach that shit in school anymore. No. Oh, by the way, Greg, you're welcome.
Although I did have an English teacher that would point out the cleverly worded dick jokes in Shakespeare.
That's true.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I had one of those too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had 12th grade. We went through Shakespeare. I had an English teacher. Her name was Miss Bonds, and she is from Boston. That was my introductory to Boston. I mean, truly the Boston accent, if you will, because everything was Boston, the car.
car.
Well, and
Lost my
even
khakis.
even in some of the more serious pieces from Shakespeare, I mean, there's one part of Henry V where some of the soldiers are basically ragging on each other about their heritage, and he's like, "Oh, you must be an Irishman," and they are literally ragging on each other about their heritage. And in the end, they shake hands and they laugh, and they realize they got bigger fish to fry than worrying about whether or not they don't like where somebody happened to be born. So they make fun of it, even in a pretty intense piece like Henry V.
Well, yeah. And, Larry and I, and I think all of us, the three of us and four of us even, have touched upon this. Larry and I being the oldest, not that old, but even so, as you say, we have a generation of kids who have never been punched in the mouth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or have had their feelings hurt and go to mommy and daddy and say, my feelings hurt. And dad looks at them and says, so?
Yeah.
Get over it.
What are you going to do about that? That's a whole, being raised with my pop would let you put a penny in a light socket. Pow! It hurt like a son of a bitch, didn't it? Don't do that again. Being stupid or being, naive is supposed to hurt a little bit. Teaches you not to do that shit again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember third grade, standing in line, this kid punches me. I go and tell the teacher, he hit me. She looked at me and says, hit him back. Walked over and decked him. Hey, it works.
Wow.
It teaches you a valuable lesson. Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
But we can't do that now. I was going to tell a real quick story. My youngest little girl, when she was in elementary school, I got called to the principal's office. And, I had a good relationship with her teachers and the principal. And I get there and there's these parents and this kid with a, boy with a bloody nose and, one of his eyes is black. He looked like he'd been in a fight. My little girl's in another room and she's in tears. So I'm like, what's going on? So principal calls me in and tells me what happened. Basically what had happened was this boy was picking on her friend. So my daughter said, why don't you leave her alone? So he went to slam her up against a wall. She proceeded to use his momentum and slam his face into the wall. I had never been so proud. My little girl's in tears, of course. So I asked her what happened, and she tells me the same thing. And I asked her, I said, why are you crying? Because I'm going to get in trouble. I said, no, you're not.
Not here, you're not.
I said, you have nothing to worry about. She said, but they said they're going to suspend me. I said, okay, we'll get your homework. You'll do that. But as far as I'm concerned, you're not in trouble with me. I said, who started it? Who touched who first? He did. Okay. And I taught my kids, you don't start a fight, but you damn well finish one. And I have two girls. I told them, I said, I don't care what you do. Pick up a chair, a rock, a stick, or whatever. Let nobody beat on you. Period.
Yeah.
You do what you can. But now we're in this era of conflict resolution. You can't, don't, even if you get hit, don't hit them. We have to settle the conflict in a non-violent way. I'm like, fuck that shit.
Well, that would be fine if that was the only side of the coin.
Right.
The problem is we have that whole other side of the coin where that same group of people thinks that there are absolutely no consequences to their actions. They can say or do anything, and then they're offended if there's a reaction to that negatively. Hey, hello, okay. I'm loud at everything I do. Having a good time, having a bad time, I'm there. And I had to, when Anthony and his younger brother started racing, I had to kind of come up with a program to explain myself to people because I'm loud. If I say or do something that upsets, irritates, or offends you in front of a group of people, and I realize that I had to throw that caveat in there because I'm a moron and I don't always realize it. But if I've said something trying to be funny that offends you, I will absolutely apologize to you in the same format I offended you. I'm not going to wait until day after tomorrow and text message Matt or Garrett and go, hey man, I'm sorry about that comment. If I said something and you took it as offensive, I will apologize to you in the same format I offended you. Now, there's a lot of people in our society still like that. However, the flip side of that is also true for me. If I've decided that I think you're a pile of shit and I tell you that in front of 15 people, I am prepared to defend that with whatever force you feel is necessary. That's what we've lost. You know, a lot of us walking the planet today feel that we have the right to do or say anything, which, I mean, ultimately we do. But what we've forgotten is exercising that right may have a negative consequence that we're not prepared for. You tell me I'm a pile of shit, I'm liable to knock your dick in the dirt. That's, but I can't say that. I can't do that now. Oh my God, he was being aggressive. You just called me a fucking idiot in front of 30 people. What did you think was going to happen? I was, oh, okay, thank you.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, and
It's
to
just
bring
like,
back
fuck.
the parenting,
Oh, Jesus.
I've got a story here. So we started seeing some behavior stuff from my son at an early age, and doing the counseling thing and find out that he is borderline autistic and other stuff. And we had this in-home therapist who is teaching us this technique to how to safely hold him to this chair when he was having these major tantrums where he would hit and destroy things and everything. So one day he was having one of these tantrums and I held him to this chair. Next day he goes to school and we get a call from the school nurse saying that we found bruises on your son's back. Well, that turned into a child protection.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I could see
Oh,
where
they
this
tried-
was
they tried
going
to
when
put
you
it on
started.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. So it started this whole child protection thing, and child protection then came in and told us how to parent. Here's what they laid out. We were also giving him hot sauce when he would say a bad word.
Old school.
Yeah, shit like that. And so CPS came in and told us, you can't do that. You can't hold him to this chair because it clearly hurts him. You can't ground him because that is in-home imprisonment, which is illegal in this county. And told us all these things that we couldn't do to discipline our own child. And then we raised our hand and we're like, okay, what can we do? And they said, basically, not these things.
Which what they really mean is nothing.
Right.
Jesus.
That's what they really mean.
Yep. So in today's day and age, if you have a troubled youth and CPS gets involved a little bit, it totally fucks up being able to appropriately discipline your child. And I mean, we weren't spankers because of where, the world was. But I was spanked and I learned my lessons,
We spanked our kids, but only up to a certain age. Only up to, I don't think there was like a number we had set in stone, but it was, it was probably around,
it's common sense,
9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
But they really didn't, there were only a very tiny handful of instances with each of our 3 kids that we did spank them. And we were very clear with them. We said, you're only going to get a spanking for one particular thing. And that is if you're caught lying.
Yep.
You're going to get a spanking for that. And they were
that was the clear cure for like ADD when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You were acting up, being stupid, man. The cure was hearing that belt, your father's belt, clear them belt loops.
Oh yeah.
It's like, ooh,
yep,
man, you straighten right up.
Absolutely.
And my dad did construction, so he had one of them heavy duty
Oh,
tool
yes.
belts.
The-
Ooh, you didn't
Yep.
want none of that. Yeah, I can still hear that damn leather
I-
now.
when my dad would snap the belt.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, man, that was the equivalent of dragging the needle across a record, right? That got
yes.
everybody's attention. There was people next door going, "Oh, Mr. Marlett upset."
To be honest, I don't think very rarely you hit any of us with the belt at home because all you had to do was snap that belt. And we're like, oh, yep, and we're wrong. We fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up.
Well, but it's, and these guys have heard me say before, there was a clear set of rules in my household. There, when I was a kid, there was a clear set of consequences, punishments
Mhm.
if you broke those rules. And I was by no means a stellar child. You looked at what you potentially wanted to do that was outside of the rules. And you looked at the rules, you looked at the consequences, you made a conscious decision of, hey, I'm going to try that. And sometimes you got caught, sometimes you didn't. The difference is back then you got caught, you stood up, you took your lumps, you raised your hand, hey, did you sneak out, or did you stay out after curfew, did you whatever? Yes. And you took your punishment. You didn't try to blame it on your friend or your little brother, or, the cop that caught us, drinking on the beach at 4 a.m. at Harbor Beach in Oceanside. That cop was an asshole and he didn't have the right to do that. Yeah, he did. He was doing his job. We didn't come off with some stupid bullshit like that, because that means we were going to get a bigger beating. I was more scared of my dad than anything else. I was the guy they pushed out front to talk to the cops. Oh man, the cops are here. Let Larry talk to them. Because if I could get past the cops, then I had a bigger worry, because I had to explain to my dad why we were doing this shit. Cop was just some cat doing his job. My pop, he didn't give a shit. He's like, you do it. Not supposed to do that, right? You were wrong no matter what, so.
Well, and at the same time, there are, it can go too far, because
no, absolutely. And I understand that's why, we have CPS, and that's why but we've delegated so much of the daily operation of our lives
to the government,
to other people, to other entities, that for them to come in and tell you that you can't spank your child is ridiculous.
Well,
Get the fuck out of my house.
We failed to differentiate between a spanking and a beating.
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
That's the
Abuse
problem.
versus discipline.
Yep.
Right. Now, see, I think I may have struck my children maybe once, my oldest, when she got mouthy, and that was just an open hand smack upside the head. It wasn't going to hurt anything, because my problem was I'm a big guy. And these are, girls. These are little girls. So if I smack somebody, I could hurt them. So, usually for me, it was like taking privileges away. When they were little kids, of course, you speak in the language they understand, smack their hand, shake their hand, sit them down somewhere, But it got to a point, and maybe this is a good thing, and some people will disagree. My children were in fear of me to an extent. My oldest told me once she was at school, and she never swore up until about when she was 13. And her friends at elementary school used to tease her and say a bad word. And her thing was like, I'm not saying that. My daddy will get me.
Mm.
So, hey, you know what that means? That means your parenting worked.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. When she started swearing in junior high, my stepsister, her daughter, went to the same school. And my daughter didn't see it. So my stepsister was walking into the school, and she heard this girl just saying all sorts of profanity, and it was my daughter. So, of course, I find out about it. I didn't get mad or anything, but when she came for my weekend, I told her, I said, you really shouldn't swear that much, And she looked at me and says, how did you know? And I told her, I'm like a ninja. Do you know how many people I know? I said, you never know where I am.
Everywhere, baby.
Pretty much. I said, oh, I know your teachers. I know your friends' parents. Oh, no place is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just wide-eyed for like 3 days. She's just like, it's like I could jump out the bushes and say, gotcha, bitch. Oh, that was fun. I should call her.
Does she need a hug?
Oh yeah, and a trophy.
No. So we're in Vegas
Oh my
6 years
God.
ago for Big Smoke.
6 years ago.
Like 8 years ago now.
No,
been a
it was
while.
2018.
Okay.
We were in Vegas.
So that many years ago. And
That's
we're
forever.
sitting at the Davidoff bar on the strip smoking. And there's a group of strippers and their handlers at the next table. Well, Scott's looking at this one lovingly. And we're all like, what the hell's going on here? And he goes, wait a minute. And he pulls up this picture on his phone and shows it to us like, how the hell did you find her picture so fast? And he goes, well, this is my little girl. That's not my little girl. I just want to give her a hug. And I just remember that.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I was just like, I would go up there and just say, can I just give you a hug and, take you home? No, not in a sexual matter. Just so
Right.
we go to the market, we'll fill up your refrigerator.
Yeah.
How you doing on your bills? Are you
Daddy
doing
will pay your
okay?
electric bill, and we can get you out of this line
And
of work.
the
man.
hilarious part was this girl was a dead ringer for Scott's daughter.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah, it
that's
just kind of ruined that
perspective right
whole
there.
experience.
I'm just gonna
No.
sit the rest of the time in my hotel room.
Matt and I have talked about that as we've been traveling around and we see these.
You saw Scott's daughter too?
We've seen Scott's daughter, we've seen our daughters, and that's what we see now when we go out and we see these young girls. It's just so sad, and your heart does break. And I'm glad that I'm not the creepy old man,
Yes.
And
Hey, don't
that-
sell yourself short, brother. You guys were pulling your pants up when we came to video. Just saying.
And that was take 3.
That was take 3. That was take 3.
Take 4, you could have just left them down.
Well, if I
That-
can,
that has to get posted to a different website.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Hey, I'm serious about that, man. We're doing an OnlyFans for the podcast.
Honestly, though, this was very fortuitous, those screw ups, because we got a lot of B-roll.
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
do have a lot of B-roll.
And
Oh,
now that it's getting warmer out here, we can, I'm not going to be in Levi's and I'll be in shorts and flip flops. We can do the nasty toenail foot pictures. That seems to be popular.
Okay, I'm kind of relieved. I thought you were going with beans and franks.
Wow.
Well, I want to bring us back to The Godfather, if I can.
Yeah.
Yes,
Please.
yes, yes, please.
We are smoking the Padrino by Amendola, which is the newest release by Amendola Family Cigars. And for those who don't know, Padrino means Godfather.
Oh, nice.
So Jeffrey Amendola and business partner Chris, they are Italian guys, very proud Italian guys. There's an Italian flag on each of their cigars, if you can see that. And this cigar is stupid.
It's really good.
Nice.
And I think between this cigar and the other cigar that they released at the same time, Especiale, I'm just going to go out and say that one of these two, if not both of them, will end up on lists this year.
Oh, nice.
Right on.
That's and you guys are you guys carrying that in that local shop that you work
should
at
be
occasionally and all
Yeah,
that?
it should be arriving either today or Monday. Be the first shop in the Twin Cities area.
Yep.
There's a shop in Chicago. There's a shop in Detroit that carries them, and then they're really big on the East Coast. So
Nice.
they're working their way west.
Oh, nice. I like that.
It would be interesting to try to get some of those. Kind of goes to what we were saying at breakfast. It might be the closest approximation we can get to. Well, okay. Another trivia question from me. Does anyone here, other than if you heard me say it at breakfast, does anyone here know Don Vito's preferred cigar brand?
Have a Tampa.
Wow.
Well,
Well, it's not Swisher Grape.
is it? Hold on.
So it's
what
the
is-
40s and 50s.
Well, but I'm also thinking Italy. Is it what the hell is the name of that Italian cigar brand? Damn it.
That's not it.
It's not it.
Nope.
I
Out
don't
of
know.
Scranton, Pennsylvania, because I looked this up at breakfast. DeNobly is his preferred cigar.
Nobly.
To which, quote, Tom Hagen wants him to switch because it's easier at that time to get Cubans.
Yeah. At that time, Cuban cigars were the norm.
Yeah.
That was it for the most part.
So I know, producer Greg, we are past an hour, but I would like to.
No,
reveal one
we're
final-
going.
We're
No,
going?
go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to go off into a tangent.
No,
Let
you're
Greg roll
fine.
his
Go
eyes
for
over
it.
When Craig puts his key in that door is when we need to wrap it up.
Okay. So something additional to The Godfather that has become a staple of mine in my circle of friends, both for camping trips, for my work I did at a scout camp. There is a scene in The Godfather where Peter Clemenza is cooking spaghetti. Scott just lit up like a Christmas tree over there.
Yep, I
So
know that
one day, I like to cook. I don't do it as much as I used to when I was living alone because just reasons. But I was scrolling through an article about foods from famous movies. I was looking for a recipe for something. And I'm scrolling, I find the recipe I need, and I'm like, I wonder what else is on this list. And I see The Godfather. I'm like, okay. Someone had backtracked and based on Clemenza's description of what he's doing, recreated the recipe for that sauce. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. Because, basic white boy here, sauce from a can is all I knew. Right? So I make the sauce. I'm like, how good could it be? It was life-changing to actually make real spaghetti sauce that didn't taste like basil, tomatoes, and ass. And I'm like, oh, this is really, really good. So I worked 5 years as the rifle range shooting sports instructor for a summer camp. And at the end of one of the summers, I'm like, I'll cook dinner for the crew that's going to stay behind and clean up camp. So I make this big pot of spaghetti, garlic bread, yada, yada, yada. The next year, everyone loved it. It was great. The next year, we get to the last week of camp, and I've got 5 people in the course of the day go, so, hey, man, they look like crackheads. Just come up like, hey, man, a spaghetti sauce, man. Like, I have people, like, I literally made so much extra that people were taking it home in, like, 4-gallon Ziploc bags. Like, people are like, I'm putting this in my freezer. So I will, at some point, if we ever do a potluck or something, You've got your cue. You've got whatever mom makes for you to bring.
Oh, damn.
Let's be honest.
Way to throw him under the bus there.
Let's be don't suck your teeth at me. Be honest.
So, question. So, while you were making it, did someone come up to you and say, "Where's Polly?" Can you
I
say
won't
it?
see him no more.
So what you're saying is you're going to get this recipe so we can put it in the comment section
I
of both
will-
the podcast and the video.
Well, if you watched the fucking Godfather, you would have the recipe.
Hang on. Here's how important this recipe is. It's saved permanently in the notes on my phone in case of emergencies.
That's a good man.
Because with the math worked out to make a single batch, double batch, or a triple batch, it's that good.
Okay, I just want to allude as we're talking about the Godfather, and this is one of the movies I kind of geek out on. Also, Godfather Part 2, where De Niro played a young Vito Corleone.
That is still one of the coolest portrayals of a character I've ever seen.
Absolutely. But the genius of Francis Ford Coppola in one of the scenes where Connie is talking to Michael at their mother's funeral and begs him to forgive Fredo. And at that point, after she speaks and, tries to convince him to forgive him, he walks out to the living room. There is no dialogue in this scene, just music. And he walks up to Fredo, who's just despondent with his head down, puts his hand on his face, and they hug each other. And then you see Michael look at his bodyguard, Al Neri, with a look.
Yep.
And that's all it was a look. And then you see kind of the pain in Neri's face because Neri had been around, from the beginning when Michael came to power. And you could just see this look where Neri did not want to do it, but he knew he had to. It's just kind of like, wow, you're cold. Yes, boss.
There's a part in the book that's not in the first movie that I kind of wish they kept in. And it's after the door closes on Kay scene that the movie ends on.
Yes.
There's the end of the book is Kay goes away for a couple weeks and Tom has to convince her to come back.
Yes.
And Tom basically outs everything Michael did honestly to Kay. And he says, yeah, Carlo had to be killed because
He betrayed the family.
and Tessio had to be killed. And Barzini had to be killed because these people betrayed us. And we might be able to forgive them, but they will never forgive themselves. And they will always be looking for a way to get out from under that guilt. And that means getting out of the family. And the only way you get out of the family is you're killed or you kill us.
Well,
And
yeah,
that's a threat to you. That's a threat to your kids. That's a threat to me. And that's a threat to my kids. So Michael had to do it. And same with Fredo. Fredo betrayed the family. That shit cannot stand because it's a threat to everything Michael cares about. And even I was talking to my mom about this. My mom has not read the book. I'm gonna tell my mom's story because it's freaking hilarious. She tried to read it in high school, and she was reading it after like doing math in her class. I'm gonna tell the short version of the story. And her teacher walks up, like, "Oh, what are you reading?" and picks up the book. And she's in the first few pages where it's vivid descriptions of Sonny and the maid of honor at his
Lucy
sister's-
Mancini.
Lucy Mancini. Vivid descriptions of fun times they're having, and the teacher's like, "Oh no!" So my mom never got to read The Godfather because she got the book confiscated in like 8th grade or something. so I'm trying to convince her to read it because there's just so much more subtext. Which
Yes.
the movie surprisingly does a lot of the subtext with like looks or the way a scene is shot. Which again,
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola is
A master at what he
was a
does.
master.
Yeah,
what
well, there
he
were a
did.
couple of deleted scenes from The Godfather just where it revealed that Waltz was a pedophile, and that scene, like you said, with Kay. But there was also one with Mama Corleone when Kay went to visit when Michael was in Sicily on the run. Tom wouldn't take her letter saying that a
He
jury
not
could say,
he
"Yeah,
not
I
writing
know
you
her."
no more.
Yeah, she's like, forget about Mikey, go live your life. You're a nice girl, and basically warned her off.
And Kay has a great line in the book. She knew in that moment that everything that had been said about Michael was true because she had been told by the most impeachable source, own
His mother. Yeah.
And then it mirrors I love the scene with Tom where she's like, "Oh, did Michael tell you to tell me all this?" And Tom's like, "You don't get it. If you tell Michael what I just confided to you, I am a dead man.
Yeah.
You and the kids are the only people in this world he could not harm."
Yep.
And that kind of sets it in stone for her. And I love that the book ends on she becomes a Catholic, and just like Mama Corleone,
Praise
says
for
a
his
prayer
soul.
for his soul every day because that's the only power she has in this.
Exactly. But I think it was genius how they closed The Godfather. That scene right there with the final words when Clemenza actually gives him the respect, because before
He would never.
he
call
called
Don
him
Michael.
Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey. And even when he pleads, because I just watched a movie last night and I picked up on it. I mean, I think I always did, but I was thinking about it more for today. It's Mikey, and
Mhm.
when Mike comes back from Vegas and saying, "You guys got to wait. You can't make your own families. There's things happening," and they're kind of leading up to, "Oh, who's the person that's betraying? Is it Tessio? Is it Tom? Is it Carlo again? Is it Fredo and Numbnuts in Vegas? Who's Mo Green?"
Yeah.
They're kind of setting up, and they set up Clemenza by making him go, "Hey, Don." He keeps calling him Mikey, but he turns to Vito and says, "Don, Godfather, can you give us permission?" The Don's
Yeah.
like, "Nope, I'm not in charge anymore."
Yeah. And that
then
ending,
finally
yes.
Clemenza goes,
Don Corleone.
"Don or Godfather," but Don Michael, and it's like, oh,
Oh,
and that's
no.
when, that's when Kay realizes, yep, he is.
Well, no, at
fully-
the end, it was just the one phrase. It's like when Neri, Peter, and then his replacement, Tessio's replacement,
Rocco
and
Lamponi.
yeah, Rocco Lamponi went up and Clemenza kissed his hand and said, Don Corleone.
Yeah.
And then when Neri closed the door, and
Okay.
Neri's facial
And-
expressions were always classic because as he was closing the door in on Kay, you could see Neri give a look like,
You're not part of this. You are, but you aren't.
it was like regretful. It's like he felt he was being rude, but it was something he had to do. So he just closes the door in on her, and she knows that she's shut off from that world.
Hey man, push Greg so he doesn't
Yeah.
start snoring over there.
Oh, no, he's blinking.
Maybe that's what we need to do, a movie night.
Yeah, well, no, I
Movie night with
offered.
Greg.
Okay, hold on. I offered last night. I said, Greg, come over to the house. I'm going to do like just a little quick barbecue. We can sit back on the balcony. We can watch The Godfather.
And then Greg made a decision that really screwed that up.
Mm-hmm.
Greg had Panda Express for
Chinese
lunch.
version of Waffle House.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Again, he sits there and says, no, they're really good. I'm just like, why would you do that to yourself? There's a perfectly good Chinese restaurant right by your house.
That's not next to the store, but anyway.
So what? Could have eaten some of your chili. Could have eaten some chicken tenders, something. But no, you decided to go to Panda Express.
It was express right to the restroom. Wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an
That's why they
understatement, my
call it
friend.
Express.
But anyway,
But anyway, as the great Al Pacino said in the movie Scarface, you fucked up, man.
mhm.
That's another thing that hurts my brain, that he is both Michael Corleone and Scarface, because they're similar characters, but also vastly different characters.
Oh,
I think it's
absolutely.
Crazy that he plays both of them.
It's
So yeah,
okay.
well,
She'll be
also
back.
Donnie Brasco.
Donnie. Yeah, he was Lefty in Donnie Brasco.
Yep.
He was so good in that movie.
Gosh.
Yes,
Oh
he
yeah.
was.
As the downtrodden, he can just never seems to get over the hump of being one of the top guys, and he's always one step behind.
So we're talking about some of the great Al Pacino movies. Heat was badass. I love the part where him and De Niro are
Yes.
sitting across the table at the coffee shop.
Yes.
That is just a masterful scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically it's like, hey, in another life we could have been friends, but understand, if it's between you and me getting away, I'm putting you down.
Yeah.
Great movie.
And that's what happened. What's that?
What's the actor that plays Sonny? I can't think of his name.
That would be James Caan.
James Caan.
So every once in a while, my mom and I have this thing where I'll point out an actor in a movie I really like, and she'll go, "You know who else that person plays?" And every time she does it, it mentally fucks me up. The first one she did it to is, I was that kid who watched Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid, when I was little. I had
Hold on. Hasn't watched The Godfather, but you sure as fuck watched Thomas the Tank Engine.
Pretty much.
I'm surprised.
No.
Anthony and I were watching Thomas the Tank Engine before he was cool.
So,
You mean you weren't watching that 2 terabytes of porn?
No.
so my mom broke.
That's what it's named.
Wow.
So
My
your mom
broke my mental psyche when she told me, because this is about when I was like 14, 15, and I had just discovered George Carlin, the comedian.
Yeah.
She broke my fragile psyche when she said, "You know that's Mr. Conductor, right?" Because George Carlin, in the American version of the Shining
Yep.
Time Station show,
he played, yeah.
was the conductor. And I go, "Bullshit." And I pull it up on YouTube. Oh my God. I'm like, Mr. Conductor just said the 7 words you can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one that'll really fuck you
And
up.
there's a really great YouTube edit of him as Mr. Conductor, and someone lip dubs. Shit, piss.
Yes.
No. I got one that'll really fuck you guys up. Do you guys know who Lawrence Fishburne is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Guess what he did? He did
Yes.
a television show.
Yep.
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
That's right.
Really?
Yes.
He was cowboy something.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was cowboy something. That's what fucked me up. I saw that. I was like, holy shit, that's Morpheus.
That's Morpheus.
Morpheus is goofy as shit on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
The reason I brought up James Caan is the other one that made me go, no, that fucking isn't. And I had to like literally look it up and have it proven to be on Wikipedia. James Caan is Sonny. He's also, for those of you that have seen the Will Ferrell movie Elf,
Yep.
he's
Yes!
Buddy the Elf's dad, and
He's
that
the dad.
breaks, that hurts me. That like, what? You ever touch my sister again, I'll fucking kill you. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Did you watch Elfin do this number? What his wife did at the wedding? Go.
I've
Yeah.
no, I have a
What are you laughing for? You have no clue what that is.
no. My theory is Sonny's death was staged and he went into witness protection.
Oh, that's
No.
great.
Became a children's book writer.
That's
Let me tell you
awesome.
something. That's highly unlikely, judging from that scene. He got lit up with Tommy guns
That's
Oh
the
yeah,
most
he caught
Yeah.
all of the bullets.
and
that's-
kicked in the face. That's what makes it so bad. Coup de grace and then kick him in the fucking face.
Yeah.
That was the most expensive scene to shoot in that movie, by the way.
Really?
$100,000 which is a lot of money back in 1970 because of all the squibs and because
Oh,
you get if you screw it up, that's another 500 squibs you got to put on.
Oh, yeah.
James Caan and new suit and all that jazz.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
when you were talking about making spaghetti earlier, I immediately thought of Elf, and I just pictured you handing out bags of spaghetti. Like,
Yeah, no
Spaghetti with
Skittles,
maple
no
syrup.
Skittles in this spaghetti. Unfortunately. Although I will say, I very rarely have time to let the sauce go as long as it should. So I have not made a batch of this sauce without having to add at least some little bit of sugar to cut the acidity of the tomato, because you're supposed to let it stew so long that it cooks off that. Door.
Stop screwing around. I got more important things for you to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. How's those cigars smoking, guys?
Hey, this is always a fan favorite right here, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen.
I think you're through with your cigar, Greg.
I got it to where I couldn't hold on to it anymore, and I was burning my lips. You know, Boulevard, whether it be a Cuban or in this case a non-Cuban, it's one of those brands that has stood the test of time. It's a great stick, and this was really a beautiful cigar. It's one that now I'm going to have to look up and see if I can get on a cigar bit adventure on that one.
How about you, Anthony?
Always a good. The Esteban Carrera is always fantastic. I will give up a little bit of my cigar talk time to say, read the book. If you don't like reading, get the Audible version that's narrated by Joe Mantegna.
Mantegna.
I don't. Thank you. Corinthian leather. It's excellent, and they just did the 50th anniversary version where they have a foreword by Francis Ford Coppola, Mario Puzo's son, Anthony Puzo, and Robert J. Thompson is the professor that kind of talks about the cultural impact. So highly recommend. They do a great job with the narration, and it's a little easier to follow because it kind of bounces timelines and perspectives a lot.
Yeah, this Damaso is awesome. It's kind of a hefty price point for what it is, but it's a Padron, of course, so you can't go wrong. Guys, how are those smokes doing for you?
Oh, fantastic.
Stupid.
The Amendola Padrino is it's one of those Maduros that's got a ton of that natural sweetness to it. Where even the retrohale is nice and smooth. It's a really good cigar.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you know, before you wind this up, Scott, I just want to tell our listeners, because if you're not following Matt and Garrett on their various social medias, I really think you should. Matt and Garrett broadcast live Monday nights, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's really late for them. Get on, take a listen. I know Scott and I jump on periodically when I'm not busy on a Monday night and watch their broadcast. They have a great show. There's howaboutthatcigar.com. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. Y'all really need to follow them and check them out and give them a listen, because, you know, I don't know if I speak for you two, but, you know, I've looked at their podcast, and you two really are my mentors in how we go about our podcast. So, you know, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and join us.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, that means a lot.
That means a ton. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, I absolutely agree with that sentiment. I was actually going to allow them to do a shameless plug, but you did it for them. So
Yeah. No,
Wait, we're hosting,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah,
honored.
yeah, that's good.
But gentlemen, as our guests, final thoughts today?
Final thoughts. We had a blast talking to you guys, and talking The Godfather is always fun. I'm excited for this movie coming out soon called The Offer, where it's basically a dramatization of what Francis Ford Coppola and the team had to go through to make this movie. So it's got Miles Teller and some other big young Hollywood people that it looks like an absolute blast. I can't wait to see that movie in the theaters. And you guys on Beyond the Humidor, keep up the good work. We're excited for what you've been doing, and are very grateful to be on the show with you today.
Hey, we appreciate you, man.
Yes, thank
Likewise,
you so
I'm
much.
gonna echo. I have just, you know, really enjoyed getting to know you guys more and more. When we, you know, hang out on, you know, just video or whatever, we have a blast. The organic conversations that we have are just fun.
Hey.
And I love this format where we can talk a little bit of cigars, life, movies. It's a blast. I love it.
I got an idea. Can't make it happen this year. I think there's not enough time, because it's I think it's the last weekend of April every year. It's called Smokelahoma.
Oh,
His eyes, they're like dinner plates.
you have to go just based on the branding.
Apparently, they do a cigar festival in Oklahoma called Smokelahoma. Look it
Is it
up.
a musical?
Is it a music? Comes with its own wagon. I mean, that could be a destination point, man. Both podcasts get together for a live event.
Yeah.
Oh my.
It could be.
I would.
You guys
Wow.
relax. These are my people, man.
And we got
I got us
enough
covered.
mics to put 5 of us on. We're good.
Got enough flags? What?
Mics.
Oh, I thought you said flags.
Mm.
What the fuck's he talking about?
Smokelahoma, where the ash comes sweeping down the plain.
Nice.
Well done.
Wow. Once again, Camera Gorilla has earned his title.
Yes.
Wow. Well, looks like the smoke's coming down to the nub, and my scotch glass is.
Definitely empty.
Oh, yeah. Now it is. So now think about that time. Hey, on behalf of everybody, including our guests from How About That Cigar, Matt Ty and Garrett Robinson, Dime Store Lex Luthor, and Ron White's opening act.
Hey, if we all get together and you and him, Matt, don't wear shirts that say the Robinson brothers, you don't have a hair on your nuts.
And of course, Camera Gorilla. Hey, thank you for listening. Check us out at LumaCigarCartel.com. Like and share us on Facebook. Check us out on all podcast mediums because, like me, as I told my daughter, I'm like a ninja and I'm everywhere. I'm Scott Robinson, and on behalf of all of us here at Beyond the Humidor, we look forward to chatting with you on the next episode. But until then, stay healthy and safe, good smoke, and good drink, and good life.